800,000 migrants sent back to Mexico, California crackdown. Today, we're diving into a headline that's everywhere. 800,000 migrants sent back to Mexico, California crackdown. Sounds dramatic, right? But let's unpack the real story with data from official sources. No agendas here, just facts, impacts, and what it means for everyday people on both sides of the border. If you're new, hit that subscribe button for more like this. Let's get into it. First, the numbers. In the first 200 days of the Trump administration's second term, the Department of Homeland Security reported that 1.6 million undocumented immigrants have left the U.S. either through formal deportations or self-deportation, encouraged by stricter enforcement. Of those, estimates suggest around 800,000 were returned specifically to Mexico, based on flight manifests and border turnover data from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. That's a huge shift from previous years. Why now? President Trump's Day 1 executive orders ramped up ICE operations, prioritizing those with criminal records, but expanding to broader removals. And it's working, at least in terms of volume. Southwest border crossings dropped to under 300 per day by February. Now, on to California, the epicenter of this change. The state's southern border, once a hotspot for crossings, is now described as nearly empty by White House briefings. What's the shutdown about? It's not a full border closure, but a combo of federal moves, ending asylum processing at port of entry on January 20th, closing temporary migrant facilities along the border, and ramping up raids in cities like Los Angeles. The Supreme Court just lifted restrictions on those LA operations, allowing federal agents more leeway. Local leaders say it's creating a chilling effect. Immigrants are laying low or leaving voluntarily to avoid family separations. But what's the real-world fallout? On one hand, supporters point to safer communities. Fewer reported crossings mean less strain on local resources. DHS highlights removals of individuals with violent records as a win for public safety. On the flip side, experts from the American Immigration Council warn of economic ripples. Undocumented workers make up key parts of California's agriculture and service sectors. 7 months in, we're seeing labor shortages in farms and construction, hitting local economies hard. In LA alone, raids have emptied out neighborhoods, leaving families in limbo and kids missing school. Mexico stepping up too, building shelters in places like Ciudad Juarez for returnees. It's a reminder, policy at the top affects real lives at the ground level. So, is this the great deportation of 2025 reshaping America? Time will tell, but one thing's clear. Borders are quieter, but the conversations are louder. Drop a comment. What's your take on balancing security and compassion? Check the description for all sources. And thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay informed, stay kind. CBP releases February 2025 monthly update. Border security and illegal alien encounters. U.S. Border Patrol apprehensions averaged 330 nationwide per day, the lowest in CBP history, with Southwest border at 300/day. Total Southwest apprehensions, 8,347, 71% from Jan 2025's 29,101, 94% from February 2024's 140,641. Office of Field Operations encountered 3,362 inadmissible aliens at Southwest ports, 90% from Jan, 93% from February 2024. Attributed to President Trump's executive orders, increased patrols with DoD support. CBP Home app launched for voluntary departure notifications under EO 14159. Narcotics and drug interdictions. Joint operations mid-Jan to February end. In CAAZ, Pacific NWC's greater than 10,900 pounds drugs, 2,584 pounds cocaine, 1,266 pounds fentanyl, 5,683 pounds methamphetamine, 135 pound heroin, 664 pounds marijuana, 640 pounds other, e.g. xylazine. Also, 140 weapons, greater than $1.3 million illicit currency. Total with partners, greater than 13,348 pounds drugs, greater than $1.97 million currency, greater than 180 weapons, 317 arrests tied to transnational criminal organizations, many deportable Hondurans. Nationwide drug seizures, cocaine, meth, heroin, fentanyl, marijuana, up 5% from Jan. Trade and travel facilitation. Process greater than 2.7 million entry summaries worth greater than $303 billion, with $7.6b duties. Ocean trade. 35.25% of import value, followed by air, truck, rail. Consumer protection and forced labor. Withheld 1,024 shipments, $9.73 million. Suspected of Xinjiang forced labor under UFLPA. Seized 1,815 counterfeit shipments, $525 million value. Audits identified $2.9 million duties, collected greater than $74.5 million revenue. Agriculture protection. Issued 6,421 emergency notifications for prohibited items. Conducted 91,703 passenger inspections. 634 penalties for undeclared items. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.